We take the pastor. We get the heart. Yeah, you're not. I think it came once. Well, why until the last experiment? It's the race. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. What happened to them? They bring them down the class because they saw right there. It's like that. People skating three, 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 just flying. Like, we were sad. Is there a lot for them? But just these type. And welcome to the Friday the 13th of December Rotary meeting and our last meeting of the year. I want to thank our regulars, Charles Curran and Alex Area, Eric Marcus for the Ticketmaster, Beth Handworker for everything that she does. Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Zwick for the great programs, and Jim Bendel for the website. Danny, what's the application? Yeah. Well, welcome to Rotary on this Friday the 13th. I had my 13th birthday on Friday the 13th. It was a great day. My fellow Rotarians and friends, all of us are gathered here today to have much to be thankful for. Unlike some of our Rotarians, the fellow mankind in other parts of the world, we have clean water now. And every day we have abundant food, clothing, and shelter. Moreover, we have stimulating lives, in part due to Rotary. As Rotarians, we share a common purpose to serve our fellow men, to help others less fortunate. We Rotarians live by our motto, service above self. Thank you for the food that you blessed us with today. Amen. Thank you, Danny. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
Yeah, we are at 61% today, and I have no guess.
Very good. Before we go any further, I'm going to ask JD to come forward. Would. One of the things about Rotary is the Paul Harris Foundation and the donation of money to the foundation. I think it's $1,000 gets you a Paul Harris award, and I have one here for JD that has 4 rupees on it. That's just fine. That's good. That's I guess it's your turn. There we go. I was going to keep it quiet, see if anybody picked up on it. Been a few weeks, so they might have forgotten. I have.
All right, good afternoon and happy Friday the 13th, but also happy winter welcome day or night, depending on how you classify 5 p.m. And welcome again to our final Rotary meeting of 2024. We have no guest, as we heard. We don't have Shannon with his long-term guest, so welcome our incredible speaker. He will be up.
There she is.
That's a dog. So it has been a while, and my original collection of Sergeant at Arms reports for the last couple of weeks would have taken up this whole entire meeting. So I will just speed through some highlights, and we'll get caught up next year. So for member birthdays, we have, luckily we didn't miss any birthdays, but we do have a few coming up. We have Tony Overholzer on the 14th. We have Mick on the 17th and Amanda Hayes on the 21st. And it looks like they are all out celebrating their birthdays early, which is why they cannot be here today. Partner birthdays, Jerry, your wife will be celebrating a birthday on the 20th, and Brian Jarvis, who is not here, hopefully he remembers his wife's birthday on the 23rd as well. Member anniversary, we did miss 2. We had Carrie Souter and Dave Happy, both celebrating 31 years of Rotarianism, if that's a word, back on December 1st. We also missed Fran's 28-year anniversary on the 13th of this month. But coming up on the 1st of January, we have Phil Sparks, who will be celebrating 36 years with us. Moving on to wedding anniversaries. Dave Cusack, you have an anniversary coming up on the 26th. Beth, you also have a wedding anniversary. So hopefully neither one of you forget it. And then JD and his wife will be celebrating 22 years on the 28th of December. Moving on to some good things that happened on this day in history, going back all the way to 1355, Ivan Batua, I'm sure that I butchered that, completed his 3-decade-long journey through and around Asia and Africa, which he documented in his book called A Gift to Those Who Contemplate the Wonders of Cities and the Marvels of Travel. He later renamed that book The Travels, which is a much better and shorter choice. And you can actually find that if you hop onto the Greene County Library's website and go through Ohio Link. One of the couple colleges have a recreation of that 700+ page book. If you're really interested to see what all the countries in Asia and Africa were like way back then. But also, he also lived one of the most exciting lives, as during his journeys, he became involved in a handful of local political events, became an Islamic judge in Pakistan, and also has fought in several military skirmishes in different countries. And on top of that, became an Imam for a warlord. So one of those guys that jack of many trades, master of none. Moving on to 1577, Sir Francis Drake of Eden set out with 5 ships on a 3-year-long journey, which obviously is not as cool as a 3-decade-long, but I think we all realize that Francis Drake found a lot of things during his 3-year travel. 1636, the National Guard was created and was the beginning of the country's oldest military organization. 1925, Dick Van Dyke was born. Fun story about him that I read about. He got his break on Broadway in 1960. He auditioned for a small part in a musical called Bye Bye Birdie. Had no dance experience, so after he sang his audition for his song in the audition, he broke out to dance based out of sheer nervousness. The show's director and choreographer watched it and promptly went up to him and informed him he just got the lead role for the musical. That musical went on to win 4 Tony Awards, which one of them was Best Feature Actor for Mr. Van Dyke. So for all of you who say that you were born with 2 left feet, there's hope for you. Moving on to some things to celebrate this weekend, starting tomorrow, we have More Good Today Day, which is just more good vibes and good things. Saturday is National Alabama Day. Sunday is National Cupcake Day. It is also National Bill of Rights Day. So pop quiz, which president made the proclamation for the Bill of Rights way back in the day?
Jefferson.
Solid guess, but no. Franklin D. Roosevelt. So luckily, Paul Hunt's not here because I believe we all just failed history class. Moving on to Monday is a chocolate-covered everything day. Also celebrate National Barbie and Barney Backlash Day. Tuesday is unofficially National Christmas Basket Wrapping Day here in Beavercreek, Ohio. But it's also the Wright Brothers Day and celebrate National Device Application Day. Wednesday is Answer the Telephone with Buddy the Elf. Does anyone remember how he answers the phone?
What's your favorite color?
Got it.
What's your favorite color?
It is also on Wednesday, Roast Suckling Pig Day. Moving on to Thursday, I don't think anybody in here went through this phase, but I think we all have listened to music from Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and Jimmy Eat World. But Thursday is National Emo Day. Also, if you've never heard of any of those bands, you can go ahead and pull $1 out right now. Thursday is also National Heroes and Heroines Day. As far as some Beaver Creek student awesomeness for this month and part of last month, there was a lot. So not to go through everything, but just know that we had a lot of winners and losers with hockey, basketball, bowling, and wheelchair basketball. And now moving on to our favorite part, the fines for today. Now, obviously, if you're not wearing a badge, that's $1. If you were late, not calling anybody out again, that's $1. If you have never done the Roll Tide cheer in honor of the fantastic Alabama football team, that would be $1. If you've ever watched the Christmas classic Elf, which we know Dave has, that's $1. And if you have never had roast suckling pig, which I've heard is a delicacy, that'll be $1. Done. Happy bucks.
Thank you. All right, it's time for happy bucks. Sure. I have a happy buck because a week from tomorrow, I will be at the first ever night game, actually game, in Ohio Stadium in the month of December. Hold on. I take from Tennessee, so I got there. We'll win the game. He's got a new lease on conspiracy theory that the coaches called a really bad game against Teton, so they wouldn't have to play an extra game. And it could rest the team from that. We'll just leave that where it is. Happy bucks, anybody else?
I went here last week. We took the kids to Disney for the first time. And I had been in 40 years, so was better the second time than the first. So we had a good show.
What else? Second village.
I mean, here's that.
There you go, JD.
I got a couple of happy bucks. First one is Jacob's home for the winter break, so finished his first semester. They didn't kick him out yet, so that's a great thing. And then, as was mentioned earlier, I'm celebrating 22 years with my wife, which I'm happy that she put up with me that one.
Believe me, I understand that.
So we're going down on Christmas Day to see my parents in the villages in Florida, which we're looking forward to and celebrating our anniversary next day. So, second.
Very good. Right.
A couple of political announcements. One, we passed a really good one yesterday or this past week that will permit military families who live on base to send their kids to whatever neighboring school. That school kind of becomes open enrollment. So this will also put Ohio ahead of many other states for being military friendly. Now, secondly, this hasn't happened yet. I believe it's coming. Many of my local colleagues would like to see a pay raise. Okay, that's township trustee, county jobs, judges, things like that. So we, the legislators, can't, well, we're the ones that have to pass such a pay raise. The last one came in 2018. We can't say, we can't use them for just groups. So I can't say, well, the judges will get a raise and the township trustees will get a raise and the state reps won't get a raise. It's all or nobody. So just letting you know, I am going to vote for it. I don't care about me getting a raise. If you see that in the paper, that's coming. Just letting you know.
Now, city elected officials aren't gonna come with that, right?
That is correct. You are not.
I'm trying to take your walk. Yeah. That's good. One and quarter thing. All right, let's take a drawing. This one, and the proceeds go to our Christmas basket program, which I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about today. Since we won't have any more meetings before we do this. Chief. We have 856 35 what's that? 9. One. Two items.
What again?
359.
Oh, God.
I bought the change and look, and I just made it consistent.
Now, if you draw the cleanest hearts, we may send you on your.
He's doing a good job.
Well, this one seems to be coming good. No,
Is that? Nope.
good.
My pros. I was so concerned Joe was gonna let that.
Can you donate?
That's fine.
Yeah, we should let him.
It's in.
Well, no.
Church, yeah.
His wife does not let him give it all back.
Yeah, it took about 200.
Any announcements for the club? I know David has one.
Tonight is Warringer Park's fall Christmas festival. Several of you volunteered to man the station for a couple hours. And I appreciate you being there and donating your time along with us. You know, Bob and Dave, Beth, and somebody else is going to be there. And all the cabins there at Warringer Park have been decorated, so it really looks nice in there. So if you can get up there, say hi to us, we appreciate it. Thank you.
And I will say it looks pretty good. You guys, whoever decorated it last Saturday, did a really nice job on it. Anything else you want to say?
Just a reminder, next Tuesday, we will be wrapping gifts on 17th at 10 a.m. at the Township Community Room. On the 21st, following Saturday, we will be delivering the Christmas baskets at 8:30 a.m. at Bellbrook, or Dots Market in Bellbrook. We have a total of around 75 families that we'll be serving. And get how many kids right off the top of my head, but it's close to 140 children that we will be giving gifts to. So I want to thank Fran and Ed for all their help with this project and stuff. And he has the rest to say, I got her to say.
Thank you. I'm hoping that most people who signed up to be a part of that, either wrapping or delivering. I can't wrap, but I'll be delivering, so I'm looking forward to that. Anything else? Michael. Introduce our speaker.
Our speaker today is Jim Brown. He's my name, my friend, and a friend of Rotary. Beth, great job on picking out a book for today. Jim signed it and I read the title, the first book on basketball, and his comment was, maybe I should read that. Jim coached at Wright State, and I always get this wrong, 17 years? 27. 27, I'm off by 10. All right, at Wright State. On Wednesday night, it was Greene County night, and they applauded Chris Collins, his sidekick, for his 850th broadcast. And my question for you, Coach, is how many have you done?
Well, I've been doing it with him for 11 years, so probably close to 400.
All right. All right. Without further ado, I'd like Jim to come up and speak to us in this.
I've had 2 back surgeries in the last 9 months. I don't know if any of you had that situation, but I still am not right. I've had 2 of them. And so if I have to sit on the stool because I have trouble standing for any length of time. But let me talk about Wright State. There's been a lot of change out there in the last year. We have a new athletic director, Joy Lynn Brown. Our former athletic director, Bob Grant, retired last March, right after basketball season. And Joy Lynn was an interim athletic director for a while, and then she received a permanent job. I think that's a great choice. I think she'll do a great job. And then they were very fortunate when the head basketball coach, Scott Nagy, decided to leave and go to Southern Illinois to coach. They had Clint Sargent on staff. And I asked Joy Lynn one time, how long did it take you to make the decision to hire Clint? She said 5 seconds. And I agree with that. Clint's, he was with Coach Nagy, played for Coach Nagy at South Dakota State. He coached with Coach Nagy at South Dakota State for a number of years. And then when Scott came to Wright State, Clint came with him as his top assistant. And one of the, when you have that happen, if you have somebody on your staff that you feel confident can do the job, it's a real blessing, because if you have to go out and try to find somebody, you just never know how that's going to work out. So Clint had been there for some time. The players he had probably recruited all of the players, and I really like Clint. I think he'll do a great job. He's got a great personality. He's so different than Coach Nagy. Coach Nagy, it took me a while to get to know him. I don't think he trusted me at first because I think at South Dakota State, the radio guy wasn't wasn't one of his good fans. So when he came to Wright State, I think he kind of kept Chris Collins and I at a distance because he didn't know what we were. Once he found out that my blood is green, we got along fine. So, but anyway, Clint got the job, and I want to talk a little bit about a couple of the players. Wright State's never really got into this transfer portal business where, players can leave at the end of the year and transfer to another place. It's kind of, I know when I was here a couple of years ago and talked about this, it was just in its infancy, and there were a lot of issues with it. Now, they've kind of tightened it up where now you have a window of about 30 days where you can put your name in the portal if you want to. In football, I think it's open right now. I think there's a 30-day window in football where you could you could transfer. We played Marshall the other night in basketball at Wright State, and I was talking to their play-by-play guy, and he was telling me that their football team got a bowl bid. I don't know. I think it might be the Independence Bowl, but anyway, they got a bowl bid. Their football coach left and went to Southern Mississippi. He and the athletic director, I guess, didn't see eye to eye, and I don't know why he left, but anyway, he left. They have 25 players in the portal on their football team, including both quarterbacks that played this year. So they're going to the bowl game with a quarterback that's never thrown a pass or played in one play all season long, and 25 players in the portal. And see, that's a real issue. And so what they've done is they've tightened it up a little bit where you have 1 month to do it. And then the same way in basketball, I think in basketball, it starts during the tournament, like when you get down to the Sweet 16, I think that's when it starts, and you have 1 month. And after that, if you transfer, you have to sit out a year. But I'm going to talk about one player. How many of you have seen Wright State play this year? Really good. So some of you have done that. It's a good basketball team. I mean, their record right now is 7-5, but it could be 9-2 so easily. They lost 3 games on the last possession of the game. We went to Myrtle Beach and we played Princeton, who is picked to win the Ivy League. Played very well against Princeton, beat them by 20. Then we played Bradley, who's picked to win the Missouri Valley. They've only lost 1 game still. And the score was tied. We were playing defense. The shot clock was winding down. There was like 5 seconds on the shot clock. This kid's like 30 feet from the basket. He throws it up and banks it in. And we lose the game. And then we played South Florida the next day. Another really good team. And we get a jump shot with 5 seconds to go. And I thought, oh gosh, they went down and hit a shot at the buzzer to beat us. So 7-5, we could very easily be 9-2. I really love this team. I think they got a great chance to win the conference and get into the NCAA tournament. But I want to talk about one of their players because I've fallen in love with this young man. His name's Jack Dumia. And if you have a chance, Google it and read the article Tom Archdeacon did on him way back in August or September when Jack first came to Wright State. I was at a practice. It was a workout, wasn't a practice. And I was sitting next to Tom Archdeacon. And he was asking me about the team. And I said, you ought to interview Jack Dumia because I think he's got a pretty interesting story. Well, I reread the article this morning because when I read the article originally, I didn't really know Jack, but I've got to know him now. He's a marvelous player. We haven't had a player like him in a long, long time because he can do so many things. He's so unassuming. He's so humble. He just wants to win. But our last 2 games, we played up at Detroit on Saturday. The score was tied, and Jack just took the game over. I mean, 3 straight possessions. He took it to the basket, scored. He had like 22 points and 13 rebounds. And then against Marshall the other night, again, same thing. He got a couple of really nice block shots. He had a dunk off of a rebound and had 20 points and 10 rebounds. And I know the first time I met him, he didn't know me, and I was at a practice, and Clint, it was maybe their first or second practice, and Coach Sargent asked me to come out and speak to the team, so I did. Didn't say very much. It was a short conversation. So anyway, after practice was over, I was sitting on the sidelines with Chris Collins, and Jack came over and he said, "I got to talk to you, Coach Brown, because I know you got a lot of stories." And he's just so personable. But we have not had a player like him that can do the things he can do for a long, long time. He's about 6'6". He's an excellent athlete. He takes it off. I made the comment the other day, and this is kind of crazy, and I kind of apologize for saying it. I said, he reminds me the way he plays of some of the things Michael Jordan did. He wears 23, which is what Michael Jordan wore, but he can do things at our level that Michael Jordan did in the NBA in terms of how he plays defense and what he does offensively. And what a neat kid. And I asked Clint one time because they got two players out of the transfer portal. They lost two kids last year. AJ Braun, their center, transferred to California Baptist. And then another player, KK Brown, transferred to Grand Valley, which is a Division II school. So they had two spots, and they recruited Jack out of the transfer portal. He was at Norfolk State. He averaged 2 points a game. But how they figured out that he was going to be this type of a player and offered a scholarship as amazing. I know how difficult it is as a coach to recruit junior college players, which is what a transfer portal player is. He's coming from another school. There's so many unknowns. You don't know how he'll fit in with your team. You don't know how coachable he is. And you can't call the other coach because he's sorry to see him leave. So it's not a situation you can call. Like in high school, you can talk to the high school coach, find out a little bit more about the player. You can't really do that with transfer guys because they're not going to tell you. But I said to Clint one day, Clint Sargent, the coach, I said, "Clint, how in the world you got these two guys, and one of them is Jack Tomita, the other one is a 6'8" guy, Mike and Rockaway." I can't pronounce his name right. He tells me, "Just call me Big Mike, coach." That's all you just call me Big Mike. So anyway, those two guys came, and Big Mike is from Houston Christian. He's a junior. Jack is a senior. So Jack, this is last year Jack can play, but Mike can play 2 years. And they're both such delightful guys to be around. And I think Clint hit the jackpot when he recruited these two kids because they fit in great with what they have. And it's really been fun to watch them. Now, talk about the rest of the team. One of the great things about coaching, I always enjoyed this part of coaching, is watching young men that you get as freshmen and sophomores and how they improve as players. And Wright State has got 3 or 4 guys, and this speaks to their player development. I mean, what the coaches do to develop their players. But 3 of them come to mind. Their point guard, Keaton Norris, has improved dramatically. When I first saw Keaton play, I thought he was a Division II player. I mean, I just didn't think he was good enough to play at this level. And a lot of people still share that belief. I mean, he gets criticized quite a bit. He's not the most athletic player. He's the point guard, and he knows what his capabilities are, what his role is, and I think he's playing very, very well. He's not flashy. He's just solid. He's just a solid point guard. And the other player is Logan Woods, who's from Fairfield High School, just down the road, halfway to Cincinnati. And he was a young man that played very little last year, with pretty good defensively. This year, he has made a remarkable improvement. He starts. He's one of the best 3-point shooters on the team, and he's having a really good year. But the other 2 guys I want to talk about are players that had established themselves last year. Brandon Knoll, 6'8" center. He was voted Player of the Year pre-conference. In other words, the coaches voted before the season who the best player in the league was. Brandon won that award. He's averaging about 20 points a game and close to 10 rebounds a game. He's had one bad game, in my opinion. That was up to Oakland. A game we lost again right at the end. And Brandon bounced right back the next game against Detroit and scored over 20 points and had 10 rebounds. But he's a fine player. The other player is Alex Hubricks, and Alex is about a 6'4" guard, and he has developed into an outstanding guard at this level. I mean, he could play at Ohio State. He's that good. I mean, he can play a lot of places. And it's because he's worked so hard on his game. He's a 3-point shooter. He's shooting close to 45% on 3-point shots. Yeah, and over 50% on 2-point shots. And the thing about him, I remember when he first came to Wright State, he's from Wisconsin. And I had watched him practice a little bit and play a few games. And I told Chris Collins, I said, he's going to be a great player at Wright State. You think so? I said, absolutely, because he can do a couple of things. He can shoot the basketball. And after his freshman year, he had back surgery. And his back surgery was a lot more successful than mine. Because he came back and played last year as a junior. And it's so much fun to see the improvement that he has made as a player. I mean, he makes shots now that you only see at the highest level of basketball. I mean, he made a shot the other night, a 3-point shot where he took the guy off the dribble, bounced back and shot a jump shot from about 25 feet. Switch. I mean, he's just such a really solid player. And the thing about the players at Wright State that is so impressive to me, I don't know that there's one player on that team that cares about scoring points. It's all about helping the teammates win. And the coach, that's something that you can't coach. You can't coach that. I mean, you can take guys out and say that's a bad shot, or you do this, or you do that, but you can't, it's chemistry. It's just team chemistry. And we played Kentucky first game of the season. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Kentucky, but their coach last year left and went to Arkansas and took the best players with him. So Kentucky this year had a new coach, and they did have one player on their team that scored 0.4. Not one player. 12 totally new players. And I'm telling you, when we played them down in Kentucky, you would have never, ever guessed that. You would have thought those guys had played together for 2 or 3 years. That coach has done an unbelievable job of taking the right kids and bringing them in, and they have bought into what they're doing, and they're playing really good basketball. But they're Final Four team, in my view. They lost one game, I think, but the same thing has happened at Wright State. The kids have bought into what Coach Sargent and his staff are doing, and that's one thing. When Clint got the job, he was able to hold on to his 2 top assistants. They didn't go with Coach Nagy, so he was able to keep them. Dan Beret, he's been there, I think, 3 years now, and Travis Trice, who was a high school coach at Wayne for several years. And those 2 guys on that staff are really, really good. It's a great staff. It's a great coaching staff. And I'm so happy that I'm still a part of it because I get to do the games. And it's, I missed all the games last year. I did 3 games. I did the game out of Colorado State. I did the home game at Toledo, and I did the game in Indiana. And when we were coming back from Indiana, I could hardly walk. I was in so much pain. And that was it. I was done. So I had 2 back surgeries, 3 MRIs, and I'm still not right. I mean, my surgeon tells me, we're going to get it fixed, Jim. We're going to get it fixed, bro. Make it happen a little quicker, but it's still. So that's to say. Got so many friends that have sympathized with me because they've had the same issue. One guy's had 4 back surgeries, and I believe my surgeon when he tells me we're going to get it fixed. So we'll see. We'll see. Do you have any questions that you might? Yes, Dave.
Tell your surgeon you're looking for a back surgeon in the transfer portal.
That's what I need. I have. I think one thing you have that confidence in the guy. One thing I've learned, for 79 years, I didn't have a first issue. Never in a hospital, never. The only thing I ever had was the flu. And man, it hit the fan last October. And what I found out is it's impossible to get appointments, to get an MRI, to get I was all set to have my surgery last February, which would have been great. And a week before I was to have my surgery, I had these tests done, blood tests and EKG and all that. So I come out of the thing, and the doctor says to me, "Oh, your blood tests are great, but I'm a little concerned about your EKG. Have you ever seen a cardiologist? And I said, no. He said, well, after your surgery, you might go see one because I think you have a little bit of AFib. I said, okay. So that was a week before my surgery. 3 days later, they called me told me to go to this cardiologist. So I walk into his office and he tells me, I'm canceling your surgery. You can't have surgery. You have the AFib. So he sent me to an AFib specialist, another cardiologist who was an AFib specialist. That guy says, hey, you're fine. You can have your surgery. Your AFib's not bad. So I think, well, I'll call my doctor back my surgery. I'll be able to get in a week. Well, that was 5 weeks. It took me after my surgery was canceled to reschedule it. So I've learned that there aren't enough doctors, I guess, or they don't work very hard because it's impossible. I hope there's no doctors out here. It's impossible to to get an appointment to have something done. It really is. And a lot of you probably face the same issue, I'm sure. Anything else?
Coach,
Yes, sir.
so the Air Force game was very successful and heard some things at the event. They're going to try to make this a tradition between.
I think so. I know we have to go back out there next year. It was a great night, and whoever organized that, and then it worked hard because it was sold out. It was a huge crowd. It brought back memories when I was coaching there because those were the kind of crowds we had when the Never Center opened. And I hope. The other night when we played Marshall, we had a better crowd than we normally have. So I'm hoping when we start league play here that our crowds will get better because this is a good team to watch play. They are fun to watch. They get it. They're coachable. I can't say enough good things about them. I really love this team. I've been doing the radio now for 10 years, and this is by far my favorite team. And so I'm happy for them, and I hope that they, like I've said before, it boils down to one weekend in late February, early March, where you got to win 3 games to go to the NCAA tournament. It's kind of sad that that's the way it is, but if you're a mid-major team, that's what it is. I mean, you have to win your league to get a bid to the tournament, and then when you do get the bid, you play somebody that's going to kick your brains out. So it is what it is, it is what it is. Well, listen, it's always great to talk to you guys. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Thanks, Coach. As Mike has already said, we donated a book for our speaker parade, and this is called My First Book of Basketball. So it's an appropriate book.
I definitely need to read it.
Next week's speakers, we won't have one next week. Or the following. So carrying out for 2 weeks. When we do come back, it'll be Kaylee Pratt, who's Executive Director of Girls on the Run. Our greeters will be Shannon Graham and David Brandenburg. Yeah, January 3rd. Please keep your eye out for upcoming programs on beavercreekrotary.com or the Facebook. Anything else for the good of the club? We will have a board meeting immediately following this. Get an early start, so maybe get out of here a little earlier. Everybody stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Everybody have a great holiday. Enjoy your Christmas and Winter Eve and New Year. That's hard or something. That's just a number of pretty well. Yeah. Maybe you don't know. Oh, she was me. It's good luck. There are now it's waiting themselves. It's worshipfully great. And when you're in the report house, there's something breaking up. And finally, the initial thought
And then so, you better keep when you get on last come out, you can my funds in my phone. It's kind of see them. Yeah, I said, right, yeah, no, yes, and people get told that man,
Thanks for coming, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to tell the story that gives me home, you know, so bad. It's right on. I'm drinking beer. It's like, I'm supposed to that yet. Question for you. Here, when you were coaching, after coaching, were you ever, where else's particulars with the last name, Mitchman or Kenny?
I don't think so.
Okay, there were that time, guys, we lost Mitch last year, and we had like, Mitch names. Amazing. I reach out to him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he was missing that.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Scott, it's funny. I had a player that I recruited, and Scott didn't know him at all. And his wife was. And Scott went over to Lancaster. He's an attorney, and he lives in Lancaster. And he went over and spent time with him. And I thought, my God, he's and I didn't give him some money. He had given some money to the athletic department. One of my former basketball players, so he can call in Lancaster. Yeah, Scott, that's what stuff. Just it's hard to get to know. He was just hard. He wasn't the most friendly person, and it's just the opposite.
Okay, I don't know him as well, but just warm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's made his week. That's great to hear. Like,
It's nice to meet you.
okay.
So the one other person I was going to recommend to you, I was going to recommend two people, and one of them was Barbara's,
Yes.
and the other guy is
Down the city of, you know, down in Florida.
his name's Rocco Soraya,
Faucet Sweater.
Soraya.
And I tried to get an appointment with one of those two guys.
I'll write his name down.
Cortez is a woman now. Becky likes her, so
She's very good.
yeah.
Like I said, I was going to recommend two people, and one of them was Rocco. One of them was Rocco. And there's another guy at Beavercreek named